Hey students, I hope you're doing well. I promised you a feedback video to help go over some of the major issues that I've been seeing on this essay. So I wanted to get that to you this morning so you had it for several days as you're making those final edits and revisions on your profile essays. There were a few key issues that I want to talk about today, and the first one that I'm going to start with is formatting. Guys, formatting is worth 10 points, which is not much, but a lot of you are just neglecting MLA format, and those are easy points that you could be gaining that you're lacking. As you can see, everything is left aligned. There are clear indentions for each paragraph. In the header, you have my name. I'm pretending to be the student, the teacher's name, the course name, the date the assignment is due, and a creative title that reflects the content of the paper. This should not be profile essay. This should not be second essay. This should not say rough draft or final essay. It should be a title that reflects the content that the paper is in. And then you also see above here in the right-hand corner, my last name and the page number. And by my last name, this should be the student's, the writer's last name. So then let's take a look at the introduction. One of the big issues that I saw with the introduction is a lot of you were completely neglecting the fact that this was a profile essay. And when we think about our previous lectures, a profile essay should give a sense of setting. We should be immersed in where the writer in the interview is taking place. And we should also get a sense of personhood. This means that we should see the subject or the character that the writer is talking about. The other big issue was in the thesis statement. A lot of you completely neglected that the focus of this paper was supposed to reflect why you want to be like this person. Many of you really focused on the storyline, and y'all, the storyline is really important, and I'm going to show you an example of that in my own paper. But through telling the story, you got so focused on the story that you neglected the purpose of the paper. So let's take a look at this introduction example. I walked through the hall of the barn, the same halls I've walked through my whole life, and I found him where I always do, near a horse. He was wearing his NC State starch shirt, his Wrangler jeans and boots, checking a mare who was starting to wax. It's spring, and that means that everyone is ready to start having babies. His work hours and careful attention to detail make it impossible for him to be surprised when that happens. Hey, Shug, I'll be there in a minute. Grab me a green tea. I sit down in the office connected to the barn and I peer at all the pictures behind his desk. There are photographs of his favorite men in black hats, horses that he's proudly owned over the years, and accolades that he's won. Proof that he was not just a cowboy. He walks into his office with his side smirk. Let's get this over with. You know I have more work to do and I'm not that interesting. I look into his eyes and grin. Nothing could be further from the truth. My dad isn't just a cowboy. He's a man who started with nothing and worked his way to the top. He's the daddy of two girls who he raised to be strong women. And he's known as the guy in our community who would give you the shirt off his back. Now, this is what we call the thesis statement, okay? And we see a clear reflection of the subject. We see the purpose of the paper, the different ways that the writer would want to be like this man. But the big thing that I also want you to notice is all the deep levels of description. We see the setting takes place in a barn, specifically in the hallway of a barn, and then into an office. We see a man with an outfit that we can really recognize and picture in our minds. We see him smirk. We see the different places in the office of photographs and what's in those photographs and how that represents him. And then we hear him say various things right here. Hey, Shug, I'll be in a minute. Let's get this over with. I'm not that interesting. Y'all, this gives the reader a clear picture of what's going on in this interview. They know where they're at, they know who they're talking to, and they know why. I'm going to repeat that one more time because those are really key points that I want you to think about. The reader knows where they are at. They know who they are talking to. and they know why this profile is taking place. These are really important concepts to continue to think of as you're making revisions and edits to your introductory paragraph. Now let's talk about the body paragraphs, because this is where I saw probably the most amount of errors. Let's first talk about the topic sentence. Guys, the topic sentence cannot just start out talking about their life. It shouldn't say, my dad lived a really hard life. It shouldn't say, my dad worked hard so that he could go to NC State. Okay, that's the story. And the story can be a really valuable explanation and point to why your subject is that way. But the topic sentence needs to reflect the purpose. And the purpose is to share why you want to be like that individual. So let's take a look at this body paragraph. My dad isn't a stranger to hard work, and it's a value he's modeled for me his entire life. That's a clear understanding of why I would want to be like him. Now let's take a look and see how the story of his life supports that idea. He graduated high school and his counselor convinced him to attend NC State University. I never thought I'd go to school. Nobody else had in my family, and I thought I'd be no exception to that. She convinced me that I could do horses and still be an educated man. That education came with huge sacrifice and hard work. He went to Raleigh with a borrowed truck, $100 to his name, and he shared a one-bedroom apartment with a buddy from high school. I look back and I'm surprised I didn't quit, but I wanted it so bad. I knew that I could learn things there that a barn couldn't teach me, and I was right. That equine science degree set me up for the rest of my life. I survived off canned sausages, egg sandwiches, and penny beers. Soil science and econ about killed me, but I made it. The work ethic he chose in college carried into his career. We see a strong transition there. Dad, tell me about being in Texas. His eyes crinkled with a smile. Well, all that education paid off. I wanted to be the one who was the best at embryo transfers. I went to Texas to work a ranch and everyone laughed at my pipe dream. I barely had enough money to pay for my own dinner, and I definitely didn't have it for a ranch. My dad is now the owner and operator of multiple ranches where he does close to 100 embryo transfers a year. The hours are long, but the payoff is what makes me want to embody the kind of work ethic I've seen him display my whole life. Let's break this paragraph down. We first have a really clear topic sentence that indicates the purpose of this essay. And again, the purpose is to examine, why is this person someone you want to be like? Then we have pieces of his story. He graduated from high school. He went to NC State University. This is a really important component that some of you missed. You did not include any direct quotes. Y'all, that is a huge point loss on the rubric because it not only points to the purpose of the essay, it also points to the body paragraph formation. Every single body paragraph you create should have built-in quotes that support the writing in the paragraph. And those quotes should have come from the interview process. But what I also want you to note is that there are places in here that are not in direct quotes that I, as the writer, am sharing, but it clearly came from information that I gained in the interview. So what I want you to recognize is that your body paragraph should really be a concoction of several things. A topic sentence that points directly to why you want to be like this person, direct quotes that indicate that this information came from the person you're interviewing, but then it should also have some narration integrated that you wrote and that came from the interview, but it's not a direct quote. It's little pieces of summary that help connect all of these ideas. What this does is it makes it where the entire body paragraph isn't built on a quote. And it also makes it sound less like a question and answer. When we start writing Q&A style, it gets really, really choppy. And we miss the cohesion of the storyline that we're supposed to have in this type of essay. The other thing I want you to notice, this whole paragraph should be centered around hard work. We see that in the example from college. And then when we look at this transition, when we start talking about his career, we see that we still stay focused on this idea of work ethic. And then we finish off the paragraph with a really clear summative sentence that echoes the same idea that we talked about right here in this topic sentence. Guys, I hope you found this helpful. This pattern is one that should be repeated with every single body paragraph. What I want you to notice is that I'm not speaking directly to the reader. You don't see a lot of yous and yours or you are's. Everything is in a way that it reflects the conversation between my dad and I, or my own ideas that I'm summarizing from the information I gained in the interview. The last thing I really want to hit on, you should have 3 body paragraphs that all have topic sentences that point to why you want to be like that person. Those topic sentences need to have some variation so that it doesn't all sound so similar. And a body paragraph should never be connected to the conclusion. The conclusion needs to stand on its own. And in that conclusion, we need to see that the interview came to a close, and we need to see the restatement of the various topics or the overall thesis that you came up with. Guys, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Please keep in mind the due date has been changed to this Sunday at 11:59 p.m. I hope this was helpful, and I'm looking forward to reading your final drafts after you've watched this video and also taken a look at the feedback you received.